Looks like I'm good to go. Hello, everyone. Good to see you. I'm back working on the Purussaurus this weekend. Let's see. So, trying to remember where I left off last time. I think I was working on the head. So I've been thinking about kind of a plan of attack, seeing what I want to do today, and I think I still am going to work a lot on the head, possibly trying to get down, maybe do some time on the arms and stuff. We'll see what we have time for. Yeah, I'm just gonna get started. Let me get my reference up. Let me know how everything's looking, how everything's sounding, if it's going okay. Okay. I need to find a good place to put my refs. Because they are not in a good spot right now. And I also need to add a ref in here because I got a new view of the jaw. So I'm gonna have to make some adjustments to the jaw. Not big ones, but where is it? Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can look it up. Basically, what I found out is that the jaw that I have sculpted right now just needs a little bit of an indent in the lower, like the tip portion of it. I'll show you once I get the ref in here. No. It doesn't show, unfortunately, it doesn't show the whole jaw. It just shows the first little bit of it. But this is basically what I need to do. I need to make this little indent just behind the bigger teeth. And we should be good after that, I think. Yo guys, welcome. Good to see you. Mirakui, good to see you. Okay, so we'll get started on that. Where is my jaw? Here it is. So I'm going to tweak the little end here, make that little indent. And that should help with like the jaw fitting into the upper jaw. I mean the upper, yeah, the skull. Because what's going to happen is those teeth that are hanging down are going to slot into this spot here. So it's going to look pretty nice, I think, once it's once the mouth closes and we get all of that stuff resolved. I'm going to have to adjust some of the teeth alignment, I think, but it should look cool. Vashbane, is this thing gonna be able to grab people or dinos and drag them into the water? That would be cool. That would be, maybe if Islander's in chat, he can help with that question. I'm not sure what the exact abilities of the Puru are going to be. Like as far as like what it's capable of doing in terms of like animation and stuff in the game. That sounds like a really cool idea, but it could be a bit complicated to implement, I'd imagine. Yeah, I think it's pretty interesting. It's kind of like all of these animals have their behaviors that we know them to, like kind of iconic behaviors, right? That they do, especially with crocs, because they're known for the ambush style of predation. So you definitely want to get something reminiscent of that in game, so that way people can actually feel like, you know, if they're playing as the animal, you want to like do what the animal does, right? I think the fun part of like game design is like figuring out how to translate that into like actual gameplay. Because sometimes it's very straightforward, like maybe in the case of like the croc, a certain attack or like a bite or something could be pretty straightforward, but then there's other things like they can get kind of technical, like grabbing onto something and then holding it in the mouth and then like actually pulling it. I think you'd have to ask maybe an animator or like a tech artist. I think it would involve probably some physics and stuff too, because you'd maybe want to feel that weight of the animal you're pulling on, and then the animal you're pulling on has to have like reactions as well. You can't just like, maybe they're like doing a struggle, or maybe they just go like limp, and it's like maybe more like ragdoll physics or something, where they're being dragged. So it kind of becomes like this problem, like, yeah, it's like a problem solving thing. It's like, how do you translate that into the game and make it feel naturalistic, interesting? Some of it can get kind of complicated. Sinotyrannus talk when and skin when. You're asking when the skin is going to be like a concept for a skin? Is that what you're asking? Not really sure. Yeah, I'm not going to be designing a skin for a while. I want to get the model mostly finished before I start considering what sort of coloration and stuff is going to be on there. I mean, from like crocodilians have kind of a very like what do I want to call it? They kind of look the same. Like there's subtle differences in the way their skin coloration appears, but generally it's like it's fairly predictable. So that's something that I'm kind of because I want this guy to have some sort of identity, you know, a unique identity to him. So just going for like the regular like green and like dark spotted mottled sort of appearance with the skin coloration. I'm not sure if that's gonna necessarily do that. I mean, it'll make them look naturalistic and realistic for sure. But I don't know. I'm trying to think of something that would give it a little bit more of a unique identity, a little bit of a pop. And I don't know. I'll have to play around with it when we get there and see what we can do. See how it goes. Yeah, greens, browns, pale yellow. Those can definitely work. I'm trying to find a good side view of the jaw so I can get these shapes refined a little bit better. Yeah, sure, no problem. Go ahead and if you have like a reference or something for me to take a look at, feel free to post it in here. I'm not gonna thanks for asking for sure. Another one thing that could be cool too for a skin color is maybe just to make him look pretty ominous, like pretty scary, is if it was just like black, not like pure black, but maybe something like an alligator snapping turtle. It's overall generally dark, but there could be like specks of like orange and like yellowish or brown, dark brown in there or something. But overall, like the impression of it looks very dark and like almost black, which could be kind of cool. Like black with like yellow or orange eyes or something. Maybe some interesting like spots. Another thing that I've done in the past, let me see if I can bring it up. I did a Sarco a while ago, maybe a couple years ago, for a different project that I work on. And for the Sarco's mouth, I did like a pattern inside of the mouth that was more brightly colored. This here, which could be cool. Like it's a nice pop of color, and they have their mouths open, like if they're basking and stuff like that. And then a cool idea would be like, it's if they're like an ambush predator, like the last thing you would see is like this bright pop of color before it grabs you, sort of thing. So we could do something kind of like this, a different pattern, of course, different colors possibly, but this is another idea that we could potentially use. I was tossing around a bit in my head. So it's a balance. It's like what feels natural, because that's important. If we're doing a realistic sort of approach, we want him to blend into the environment and things like that. But it's also like it's a little bit of a tug of war between what's super natural and grounded and what's also visually interesting. It's kind of always what. At least personally, that's what I'm always balancing when it comes to dinosaur or like prehistoric animal reconstructions and stuff. I personally, like, one of my favorite things at least, is I love playing with color and pattern. I'm actually a huge I got very interested in color theory when I was in college. Because for the majority of my early art career, I guess, or experience, I was mostly kind of a tonal artist, meaning that I just work in black and white, or maybe one color, and it was just different values of that same color, monochromatic stuff. But I really wanted to improve my color. Because that was actually one of the hardest things for me. Every time I tried to use colors in a painting, or I hadn't really gotten into sculpture too much back then. So every time I tried to use color in a painting, it was very kind of muddy and messy. I didn't feel like I had very much control over my colors and how I was planning them and stuff like that. So I started to learn a lot about color theory and how different strategies of planning out colors and sort of mapping them out. One book that really helped me was Imaginative Realism. I think is by James Gurney, who is, for those of you who that don't know, is he's the guy that made Dinotopia, does the Dinotopia books. He's a really great painter, really cool guy. I actually got to meet him a couple of times. Very nice guy. But yeah, the way he approaches color, the way he plans things out, maps things out, really helped me a lot. So that's kind of where all that started, and I brought that into my dinosaur reconstructions a lot. I mean, I've definitely gotten a little bit of flack for it. Not a lot. Like, I'm not gonna. No one's like been super complaining about it, but yeah, it is a little bit of a challenge, because, you know, most of the time, if you're trying to do something like very scientifically accurate, a lot of the advisors and stuff, they're not going to want you to do anything very like out of the box, or like too speculative, I suppose. So you want to stay safe, you know? So lots of the browns, the greens, tans, that's what ends up happening. So in my own personal stuff, sorry, excuse me. I hope I'm not getting sick. I have a bit of a runny nose right now. And sorry for my voice. I really hope I'm not going to start getting a cold or something. But yeah, in my own personal work, I tend to push things a little bit more. Brighter colors, bolder patterns. I like seeing that kind of stuff on dinos. And the thing about like textures, at least for video games and stuff, like, you know, I understand why they go for that sort of thing in like a museum reconstruction or something. But like in the case of a video game, I think there's a bit more room to push things. And then like generating a texture, or like not generating but making a texture, yeah, I mean, it does require some time investment stuff. You'll see that when we get into substance, but ultimately it's not like a huge deal to change a color, like change a pattern, skin pattern. We're probably going to end up with multiple anyway, I'd imagine. So we can probably try out several different ideas on the Peru and see how it goes. Mirakui, did you send over that link that you wanted me to take a look at? Oh, you have to copy and paste it. Okay, let me see. I don't still think I don't see it. Like I see your messages, I don't see the link inside. Like it doesn't look like there's a link inside of your message. You know what I mean? Unless I'm not like I might just be blind this morning. That is a possibility. My brain might not be working correctly right now. Maybe try and repost just the link that I can copy paste, or if you want to like at me, if you're on the Discord or something, if you want to at me there, I can copy and paste it from there. The game is made in Unreal Engine. Yes, it is an Unreal game. It's been fun. So I haven't done a ton of stuff with Unreal. I know like the bare bones basics. I did like I basically I know how to get a model in there and like set up the materials and stuff. I know how to like make a landscape and like texture it and like add the assets and stuff like that. I haven't gotten into like a ton of game dev, but it's a really fun engine to play around with. I was a while ago. I got to learn how to make like foliage, like trees and grass and like different kinds of ferns and stuff from it was one of the guys that worked on The Last of Us. He was a Naughty Dog vet. So that was really fun. I still need to like actually implement those skills though, because I had like I had goals of trying to reconstruct a lot of like prehistoric plants that you don't see very often, but I haven't gotten around to do that very much yet. I mean, increasing that muscle here, I'm noticing that it was just kind of tiny. I want this guy to look pretty powerful. Yeah, Eva Draconis. Yeah, I remember those days in the aisle playing for like hours and hours. Yeah, it was pretty fun. I definitely like wore out that gaming experience, I think, because I haven't played dino survival game in a long time. But I do remember that sort of feeling. Like those like that organic sort of like forming of herds and packs and stuff like that was pretty fun. I need to get a good look. Excuse me. I need to get a look at this like side view of the head. I need a good ref for that. And I'm not finding it in my sheet. I swear I had one. Here we go. I need to figure out how these wrinkles are going to form. Right here. I'm kind of jumping around a bit. Because there's different areas that are catching my attention. I keep sneezing, which is annoying. This area here is pretty interesting because it's got like kind of a bit of a hollow space here when it's outstretched, and then it kind of bulges out at the base and merges into the jawline. And then this comes down here and sort of blends in. Showing right. Okay, I keep losing that. muscle, and I'm wondering, I thought I deleted it or something. So I think that's starting to feel better. The shape of the jaw, at least. I think we're going to have to adjust the length of it just a bit. Because I want it to... Oh, I need to move this up just a tiny bit. No, I don't want to do dynamic subdiv. Give me 1 second, guys. I need to go blow my nose. Be right back. Okay, back. Sorry about that. Yeah, I really hope I'm not getting sick. That would suck. I usually... I mean, I haven't had too much of a problem with like cold and flu and stuff in the past like few years, actually. It could be like a seasonal thing. I do get like, sometimes I get like cold symptoms when like in the spring and fall. So maybe it's like a seasonal allergy thing. I have no idea. Need to get a good look at the inside of one of these guys' mouth. Give me 1 sec, I'm gonna look one reference up. are so small. It's something that's good resolution. Okay, I think that'll have to do for now. I might have to do a bit of a reference, additional reference gathering later. This looks kind of good. Yeah, my reference sheet just keeps growing and growing. Might be interesting to see by the end of the project, like how many images I actually have on here, because it's maybe not the biggest reference sheet that I've ever made, but it's getting pretty big. But I just want to get a good feel for the interior of the mouth right here before I merge everything together, because I have some flexibility here because everything is separated, but it's also kind of difficult to work with because I have to remember what subtool I'm on and then switch to the right one, and it can kind of mess up the flow of a sculpt, because lots of times when I'm sculpting, I just want to jump from area to area and just sculpt wherever I want. But if it's on a separate subtool, then I got to take time to like find it, switch to it. Even like little interruptions of like like a second can kind of mess up the flow of a session, or like, well, not the whole session, but like it can kind of just disrupt that nice getting in the zone sort of thing. And that's already hard enough to get into when you're sculpting, at least for me. It's like that when you're so focused on doing something, that time just kind of slips away, and like all of a sudden you look up at the clock and like several hours has gone by, but it didn't feel that way. That's kind of what I'm talking about. Usually that's when I'm the most productive, like when I get into that flow state. But little things like that can get in the way. So I do take those kind of seriously. If I start feeling my workflow getting interrupted, then that's kind of I start looking for ways to, like, I'm going to merge this stuff down soon for sure, because it's already starting to affect me. Yeah, Marakui, yeah, for sure. The more detailed something is, the more refs you're gonna need, and it's sometimes like with this stuff, it's like it's unexpected things too. Like there's no way that when you're like starting a sculpt that you can think of every reference that you're ever going to need, and then put that all in the sheet and just be good with it. There's always little things that pop up, little angles that you wish you could get. So there's some actually really cool details on the tongue that I want to incorporate now that I'm looking very closely at it. There's like these little, the back of the tongue back here is really smooth looking, but then as it gets up to the front, there's like these little bumps that pop up. They're not like taste buds, I don't think, because they look too big. And then there's like nice little wrinkles that appear here, at least on the reference that I'm looking at. So I definitely want to incorporate some of that. I think that's going to be fun. We're going to make this mouth look pretty, I don't know, I always have fun detailing the mouths, just because I feel like it's just such a cool structure, the way these muscles interact with the skull. It's also a good, it gives a good sense of like power too. You see big jaw muscles on an animal, you know, especially a reptile, and you're automatically it's like, you know, that thing can do some damage. It's really cool to see in like big theropods. So I tend to exaggerate that just a tiny bit, especially in like tyrannosaurs. I always really liked seeing those muscles at the corner of the mouth. I haven't done a big tyrannosaur in a long time. I think the last big tyrannosaur I did was like a Daspletosaurus. Yeah, right. Marcui. Yeah, it's hard to get into flow when you have to read chat. And, yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's definitely something new, right? Like I've never had to do that before. And like, what's weird is, well, I thought I would be way more nervous than I am. Not that I'm not like. I'm naturally I'm more of like a shy person. I think more introverted than extroverted. So this is kind of. I thought I was gonna be like kind of like public speaking, like that kind of is very scary to me. Like it is, I guess, technically a form of public speaking, right? But I've had to like do presentations and stuff in front of like classrooms. And like read my assignments and stuff in front of people, and that was kind of terrifying. There's been a couple times where I got super nervous with that stuff. When I'm talking about like artwork and my process and stuff, it's not so bad, because I mean I've done this for so long that, you know, there's a lot to talk about. I feel pretty comfortable in that zone. So it's not as difficult as I thought it would be, but yeah, it's definitely different. Like, I kind of think about the types of people I like to watch too on YouTube. And they tend to be more like, I would say like I guess chill people. Like I'm not like, there's people that I just can't watch just because their personality is just like too like out there, like very energetic, very like, it's just a lot, you know. And I'm definitely not that type of person, and I can't watch that type of stuff on like for long periods of time. So that's kind of the vein where if I had like more stuff on YouTube, or like if I ever wanted to do like an art channel or something, where like I just talk about art and my process and like tutorials and stuff like that, that's probably where I would want to be more. So on the roof of the mouth that I'm looking at right now, I'll show you. That way I'm not just like talking about abstract stuff. There's very subtle shapes here, like very subtle surface changes. Let me pop that into always on top. Always on top. There we go. Very subtle surface changes on here that I'm trying to incorporate. But I think I have too much resolution and I need to change my brush. Brush. Smooth. Where are my smooth brushes? Did they change where the brushes are? Standard. So I just updated ZBrush because they made me. They were like, they gave me a notification. They're like, if you don't update ZBrush soon, you're gonna lose access to it for some reason. Which that was not. I don't really like that they do that, because it's like I pay for the subscription. Like Blender, like, I mean, they don't necessarily require you to move to the next version, just because there's an update. You know, you can continue to use older versions of Blender if you wanted to, but these guys seem to be, there it is, smooth. Smooth, stronger, that's what I want. These guys seem to be a little bit more aggressive. I mean, it's not the same model, of course. They're not the same sort of like service, but I think that's a little bit weird. It's like, I'll update when I'm ready to update. So far, I haven't had many issues with the update though. I'm not really noticing what's different. I guess there's a bunch of new stuff that's been added. But I don't really utilize a lot of that new stuff, to be honest. There's like a set amount of tools that I need, and sometimes I'll use other stuff, but for the most part, it's like the same kind of toolkit that I just rely on. Not much really changes. I think one of the last big updates that I do utilize from ZBrush is they incorporated this thing called VDM brushes, and we'll probably use some of them on this model when we get to like the scales. But essentially it's like you can make a mesh. Like, for example, I could make like one big scale, and then that model becomes like a whole brush, and then you can drag that model out onto the surface, and it usually You can do that with alphas on the mesh. Like any of these alphas I could just use and drag out, but there's like a limit to it. Like with an alpha, it'll just push directly out towards the camera, or like towards the normal of the surface. You can get some height on there, but you can't get any like undercuts or anything like overhangs. So if I had like a like a horn, right? And it curved. Like if I had a I'll draw on here. If I had a horn that curved like this, or even one that curved even sharper, I wouldn't be able to get this underhang to pop up when I pulled the mesh out onto the, if it was just an alpha. But the cool thing about VDMs is that you can actually incorporate undercuts like this, and it pops out of the mesh exactly as you sculpted it. So you'll see that when I start working on the scales more. We'll probably use some of those. I'll have to make custom ones, so we'll probably have to do like part of a session where I just start sculpting scales. And then it'll take like, we'll probably test a few, because it usually takes a couple of trials before a couple of test versions before the brush can kind of be used for real. But we'll do that, because I think it'll be probably one of the better ways to approach this. Murakui. No, if I were you, wait, as cool as it is, as cool as it would be, you probably won't make the hole / gullet inside at the back of the mouth, right? No, I don't think so. Usually, so this reference has that space open, but usually they have it closed. Like they close it up. This flap of skin here pushes up against this, and it makes a watertight seal, so they don't have to, it just stays shut, you know, like this. So that's probably how I'm going to model it. I think it would just make more sense that way. You know, we have there is like some depth. Like I want to make sure that this feels like it's like a real mouth. There's depth to it. But there is like a limit to how deep we should go with it. And I think that's kind of borderline. I think it'll look fine like this. Unless there's like a gameplay reason why you would need like an actual cavity in there. But even like with a swallow animation or something, I think you could still make that look pretty believable without having like an actual throat going all the way back down the. take this off because it's kind of getting in my way. I've been kind of messing with my displays this past week. I'm kind of feeling like I need a different orientation of my like monitors, because I don't think that they're, especially for reference, when I have reference material up, I don't think that it's like very efficient for me to keep the reference in view, because I have to keep on like turning my head to either side a little bit too far, I think. So I'm trying to figure out different ways to adjust my setup so that way I can see my references better, because it's kind of annoying. I'm always changing my setup though, so who knows if I'll even find a solution that sticks. Marakui, it would be deep enough to make it look like realistic, not all the way down. For most dinosaurs, like if I were to do, what's the dinosaur that's in there now? Like I think the Eocacaria is in there now, right? So if I were to sculpt a dino like that, it would be, I wonder why my pen isn't working. It would basically go like if this is the dino head, right? The mouth, the throat area, whatever, would be kind of like back here, just far enough so that way this can kind of recede into darkness, sort of, and then that would be it. And then this would be like shaded very dark, with like the texture and stuff, because you're not really ever gonna see past that. So that's how I would usually do it. Where are those refs I just had up? There it is. Okay, so one thing I really want to do right now, because I'm noticing it, is I'm going to adjust these teeth. Because in the skull ref that I have, these two front teeth are much bigger. Where is my move? There we go. I'm going to take this down, slightly curve it. So I really want to get this come on, there we go. The reference images that I have of the skull, or like the reconstructed skull, have a really nice the front area of the lower jaw feels really cool. Like it's got this nice flow to the teeth. The teeth are nice and big. So I want to make sure I'm capturing that with the teeth that I'm making, because right now they feel a little bit like uniform, like they're similar sizes, they're all pointing straight up. It's because that's the way that they were inserted from that, if you guys remember the insert mesh brush that I created for that. So what I want to do is just make things feel just a little bit more natural now. And I might even exaggerate this just slightly, so that way it feels even more kind of aggressive, kind of threatening. They're kind of tusk-like. Right? It's almost like if you've seen, what's that croc called? They call it the boar croc. I can't remember what it's actually called right now. But he has like those big kind of fangs. That's what I'm thinking of slightly here. So they go, it's two big guys, sort of medium in the middle, and then it goes really small down here again. And there's actually a little bit of a little bit more of a arch right here. Purussaurus, I think so. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Purussaurus is what I'm thinking of. So that's kind of what I'm going for. I'll probably adjust it even more later, but I think that's going to look pretty cool. Almost looks kind of like hippo-ish, maybe. If I don't want them to splay out too far though. Okay. This kind of does look cool here, like the way that it's not aligned perfectly. Like it's a little bit irregular. I wonder, I don't know. It's kind of hard to judge though, because like this is going to be, there's going to be multiple of this character, right? Multiple people are going to be playing it. They're going to be grouped up sometimes. So if I make things, if this were like a one-off character, like, I don't know, like if this were like a boss character or something in the environment and you had to like, I don't know, fight him or something. It was just one model that I had to make. I think I would incorporate more like unique stuff, like making these teeth very like messed up and offset. Some are broken, some are like missing, stuff like that. But since this is kind of like a repeatable sort of player character, I do want to keep some of that stuff like a little bit more generic. I don't like using that word when I make a new character, but it's kind of, if they're too like unique, then it starts to look very noticeable, like when it's repeated, if that makes sense. But maybe there is some room for that sort of like irregularity, just a bit. Because I'm kind of thinking about like, you guys ever watched King Kong? Not the newer King Kong, the Peter Jackson one. The V-Rexes in there, they're where their teeth are like super jacked up. That's kind of what I'm thinking about. Eva Draconis. So much work, skill, background research, talent, vision, dedication, time goes into making just one dino for a game. Dino gamers appreciate your hard work, and we will love this game. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I hope so. I definitely hope so. I put a lot of time and effort into the reconstructions and stuff, and I enjoy it a lot, so I hope people, when they're finally able to walk around as the Puru or whatever other model we make, I hope they have fun and they like the way it looks and like the way it plays and, you know, all that stuff. I think that's going to be pretty exciting for me. I think once the Puru is done, is just maybe watching if people are streaming the game or like just talking about the game and what they think about the Puru. That's going to be fun to kind of see what their experience is and what they're doing with it. That feels pretty cool to me. I like this area now. Maybe it's a little bit too big, but I'm gonna leave it for now just to see how it evens out with the rest of it, because it might be okay when the rest of the details are like settled in. But I do like that. I'm gonna have to adjust the top teeth too, because they get pretty big as well. These ones here and some of these first ones here. Also, where is his eyeball? Did I not? There it is. Marakui, that's one bastard's name I will never forget. He was the demon always torturing me in Ark Survival Evolved. Oh, they have a Capro in there. Yeah, they have a ton of animals in Ark. It's always surprised me like how many creature models they have in that game. I have not played Ark. It's one survival game I haven't touched yet. Can't you like close the mouth to see how it fits with everything? Yeah, I can. The only issue is right now that it's kind of awkward. Like I can always do that. It's awkward because they're all separate meshes right now, right? So if I try to move, let me see. If I try to move all of this, like I have to go in and I have to individually select. I have to add that group to the group that I want to move, and then it's kind of a pain. Because like this group will move, sure, and I can check this, right? But then all of this stuff down here doesn't move. And then if I want to move that stuff, I have to go in and like mask it out and then let it move and then move it back. Like it's very awkward for ZBrush to do that sort of stuff. It's gonna, that's the reason why I'm like holding off, like checking that right now, because, well, this is weird. And then, once I merge everything down, it's going to be fairly simple for me to just adjust things. But as you can see, it's like there's definitely going to be some like intersections that I'm going to have to figure out. One of the things too that might be a possible, I don't see it on his skull, but a lot of crocs, when their teeth get big, they have actual space for their teeth to come up through the roof of their mouth. Like, I'm not sure if that's like a feature like they have, like it's something that it has evolved to be that way, or if it's just that their teeth just poke out of the roof of their mouth sometimes, and that's just something they live with. But yeah, we'll figure it out for sure. That's definitely something that we'll need to resolve. But I'm not like super worried about it, just because I've had to do it so many times with other dinos. It's always kind of like, ZBrush is just weird. Like it doesn't let you I've never really liked the way that ZBrush allows you to pose things or like move your mesh around. It's just kind of something I've gotten used to because I I've had to. Yeah, we'll definitely figure it out for sure. But for right now, I'm just kind of working with it as it is, and then we'll adjust. It does look funny. It like, I think no matter what, it's going to have an overbite. Because that's just the way that the skull is. It's not as bad as some other crocs that I've worked on. Like there's some, the Sarco that I worked on was pretty scary, honestly, because it looks so goofy. It was hard to kind of trust the material, and like I wanted to fight it so much because I wanted to fix the skull shape so that way the teeth looked better. But in the end, like I think it ended up looking really cool. But it's just like during the process, it can kind of be a little goofy looking. So we're pretty close to that. Like we're not far off from there. We'll get to that stage, and maybe, what time is it? Maybe not this time, but maybe by the end of next stream or beginning of next stream, we'll be able to work on that sort of stuff a little bit, because this is pretty close. It might be okay to do that. I'm just considering. Okay, here's what we'll do. I think we're good. I'm going to duplicate the jaw because I want to keep that as a reference mesh for later. Duplicate, and then I'm going to add it to this group here. And then let's see what I need to merge. This shape I want to keep separate because I think that's going to change some. So I'm going to keep that as a different mesh. I'll put that at the bottom. All of these guys, I think, can get merged now. So we'll go ahead and do that. This is kind of like one of those scary parts because it's like, you know, it's like in Photoshop, like when you have everything, all of your layers all separated, and then you're like, you have to flatten them down, and you know that once you flatten them down, it's going to be hard to like certain amount of flexibility is going to go away. Like you're kind of committing, you know, quote unquote committing to the stuff you've been working on so far. So there's always a bit of hesitation, but I think we'll be fine. And what I'm actually going to do, just to work kind of a little bit non-destructively, is I'm going to make a copy. Once we merge this down, I'm going to make a copy of this, so I can, if something goes wrong for some reason, right, I can split it back off. And then this will be, so this is the merged skull, the merged head. And there's a little bit of work I got to do here. Well, hold on, because I want the tongue to be part of it too. This is where the tongue is. I'm going to take this. Take this larger chunks just so it's easier to close off. Split hidden. So that's its own mesh now. And then we'll dynamesh this just to close that back portion. And then bring this up to here. Merge that down. It's going to think a while, and it's going to autosave with perfect timing as it always does. Okay, and then let's solo this so we can check this out. And if there's any gaps, I need to fill those gaps because it's going to be annoying when we dynamesh. Because I don't want like little air bubbles and stuff in between the meshes. I want it to be nice and like self-contained. So and I'm gonna inflate just a little bit of this stuff just to make doubly sure that it's intersecting. This is actually kind of the workflow I have to do when I'm doing like 3D printing. I have to make sure everything's, they call it watertight, which means everything is intersecting. Everything's gonna lock into itself when it's merged together. So I have to do this kind of stuff a lot. It's not a big deal in here because this is not going to get printed. Although that would be cool, I think, if I could print the head like this. So it's going to have an overbite. Like, that's just the way the croc is. Like, that's literally the way the skull is. Where's the skull? The better skull ref. Because I mean, the lower jaw has to fit into the upper. So it's going to have a bit of that overhang here in the muzzle. But it's not going to be as drastic. So yes, I'm going to adjust it so it's not as crazy of an overbite, but it will have a little bit of one. Let me up the resolution. Like the jaws isn't gonna close as neatly as like a dinosaur mouth would. Let's see how this works. Okay, so that's all merged now. Cool. So now we can actually start getting the feeling of like everything integrating, right? Whereas as before, everything was like, you could see the sections where one part stopped and one other part began, which was not super nice all the time. Okay. So, how am I going to do this? Now that this is merged, what I can do is I can take part of this . This is gonna look pretty crunchy because it's not gonna be, again, this is not the ideal mesh to be moving around. So instead of an overbite like this, it's gonna be something more like that. And then we'll bring this back down. And then I'm gonna have to fix all of this area and the teeth. Let me just really quick, let me take note of the angle that I rotated it from. So it's like 32. Then I'm gonna extend it, bring it back down. Then I'll just have to fix that. And we see, I'll move this forward. So something like this. And then we'll close the mouth again eventually. Probably once I've had probably after I've done like a Z remesh or something, just to get it at like lower. That way I can get better deformation on the mesh, because like this mesh is pretty dense. So if I try to do any deformation on this, it's gonna result in like a lot of screwed up like distorted areas in the mesh, which I will have to clean up. So I'm gonna hold off for the rest of like the refinements on that, probably till later. That way we can get the teeth to interlock pretty nicely. Cool. On the other hand, you would be able to print this model without messing it all up, of course. Yeah, it would be pretty easy to print this, you know, at least like this. Like if there was like I don't know, like a bust sculpture or something. I mean, we could print the whole thing, but like this would be cool. You know, just like a cool like head sculpt. I have a couple of things like that on my other shelf. I have a give me 1 second. Show and tell. Okay. So this guy, wish I had better. Here, give me 1 second. Let me move wish I had a better light. I'll turn on the whole light for my room in here for a minute. But this is a sculpt that I did when this is the very first 3D sculpt that 3D model I ever printed. It's like a tyrannosaur creature, just like a bust. It's got actually kind of crocodile stuff going on too, like the osteoderms on the back of the neck. But like something like this is fairly easy to make and print. And then this isn't put together. This is a sculpt that I worked on for Shane Folks. It's a big T-Rex. This is his sculpt, this head, but I had to like 3D scan it and then figure out how to like attach it to a 3D base that I made. So this is the base, and then this goes in here. I just haven't like glued it together, but it's a cool like stand So it'll look like this once it's all glued up. So stuff like that's pretty simple to do with the 3D printing. Great. What's going on? You plan? It's line enough for the center of mass to not make it fall over or something. Yeah, it stands up. Pretty cool. That's one of the biggest things that I like. I mean, it's not sitting on my hand, but it doesn't fall. It's hollow, so this whole thing is hollow. It doesn't have any interior fill, so that helps. And then just making sure that as long as the base overlaps the center of mass in the model, it'll balance. That's one of the things that I was most worried about with this guy, honestly, because this was the first 3D print that I'd ever done. I had no idea how to make sure that it was balanced when it was done printing. So I was really, really scared when I received it that it was just going to fall over. So I did kind of eyeball it to the best of my ability, is like making sure that it was going to work as intended, but unfortunately it worked out. I've been pretty good at, honestly, at, not to toot my own horn, but I've been fairly decent at getting models to like not have issues with balance when they're printed. It is really hard to test. That's one aspect of it that's really hard to test. There are programs out there that kind of can test it, like physics based stuff. Maybe like Fusion 360 or something has stuff like that it can test whether something's going to fall over or not. I don't have that program, unfortunately, so I just have to kind of trust my gut. But now this is going to be pretty cool, because now I can actually get in here and like do some of this detailing that I wanted to start doing since I was working inside the mouth. We'll just kind of block it in, like indicate, because I don't want to get bogged down in like super detail right now. But this feels better to me. Like it already feels more like I can jump around and move to whatever part of the head that I want to work on, and it feels pretty nice. So I'm happy about that now. This stuff here on the side can get kind of erased away now. Well, not erased, but I want it to kind of smooth out. And we'll kind of blend it in just a little bit. Here. Okay. Beast Nugget, chunky boy. Yeah, definitely pretty chunky. There's lots of cool wrinkles that happen here. Go up into the back of the head. That's going to be fun to work on. What else can I do? Because we only have about 15 minutes. I don't know if you did something like that in the past. I'm assuming that's what you said. But is there a chance I could pay for the model of a head itself to 3D print it to get similar to the first head you showed once you finish it? I don't know. That would be up to, you know, because I'm making this model for Echoes. So that would be up to Islander and, you know, as to whether they want to like establish like a collectibles like thing like that. That would be cool, for sure. But I would have to make sure that it's okay with them, you know. But in theory, that kind of thing would be possible from any model, any 3D model that's in the game could be printed as like a figure, like a, you know, like a little statue or something. Okay, I'm gonna try and work on the neck just a little bit to get the major. I have the majority of it there, but I feel like I feel like it actually might need to be bigger. And his neck might need to be a little bit longer. I'm not sure yet. Part of it too is like I need to decide on a layout for these scoots that are going back here, because they're gonna be a huge part of the back of the neck. So I don't have quite the best idea of like what those are gonna look like just yet, because I've been focusing so much on like what's going on in the head and the body and stuff that the scoots aren't resolved in my head just yet. We'll probably have to do some planning to make sure those are maybe like a Photoshop sketch over or something, just to like plan them out and see where they could go. But I am feeling like his head might be, the neck might be a little too short. So if I did something like this, and then I moved, I don't want to move this. I just want to move these guys. Like that. Invert. It doesn't need much, it just needs a little bit, I think. I'm just eyeballing this right now. I'm going to double check this. But that's kind of my instinct right now, is saying like this needs to be a little bit longer, because it just feels like his neck is like not going to be mobile enough. Like he's not going to be able to turn his head side to side and like thrash around. Where the heck is my brush? Devoid overlord. A normal croc or alligator has larger but more spaced scoots on the back of their neck. Yeah. I'm not quite sure, because technically Purussaurus isn't related to crocodiles. Like they're more closely related to modern caimans, and caimans have a slightly different layout to their osteoderms on the back. So I'm not quite sure exactly what model I'm going to go after, whether it's going to be more like crocodilian, more caiman, more crocodile or more caiman. Or if it's going to be like a hybrid, or if I'm going to try something different, because each species, like they don't have the same pattern. There's a slightly different, there's variations, you know? So I haven't decided fully yet what we could do with that. So I'm still considering. But we'll definitely have a conversation about that when we get to it. Get to it soon. We're almost ready to get into some of those cool scales and stuff like that. Get into the real final details. It's just this, this is like priming the stage for those nicer details. Is making sure all of these other forms are nice and well represented and pretty solid before I add all that stuff in. I need my crease brush. Where are you? I think his arms could actually get bulkier. They feel a little bit slim. Oh no. Here's that stuff. Let me see. Oh, I accidentally had that little space masked out. Let me shift this back. Somewhere right here. There. Where's the arm? Here it is. This doesn't need to be there. Still messed. Right there. And then just mirror and weld it really quick, just so it's there. But as I was saying, I think I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, Just not the, like the proportions are going to still stay the same, I think, but the muscle mass, like the volume here, is going to get bigger. Because I really want them to feel pretty powerful. We'll maybe take a look at that later, though. We only got 3 minutes. I wish I was able to get this neck closer to what I wanted. But we'll kind of, I guess, yeah, this is where we'll leave it. And probably next time, let me see if I can take this out of the dimming mode. Probably next time, what we'll do is I'm going to focus more on the neck area here. Let's kind of start methodically going down the back, you know, down the model. Let's see. Yeah, we'll start going down the model and like kind of getting this secondary passive detail in. That way I know specifically where everything is going to like lay out. So probably the neck and the upper torso area we'll focus on next time, because I think the head is definitely needs more detail, but the majority of it's there. Like the base shape of it is there, I think. It just needs the surface like attention, whereas the rest of the body needs a little bit more of that, like establishing forms and stuff. So we'll do that next time. Cool. Yeah, thank you guys once again for coming over to the stream. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for asking questions. I really appreciate all your feedback and, you know, talking to me about, you know, art and dinos and whatnot. Make sure you keep an eye on YouTube and Discord for any announcements for Echoes of Extinction. And yeah, if you'd like to check out more of my work, I've been more active posting on social media, specifically Blue Sky. So if you guys want to check out lots of the other stuff that I do, there's links in the description of the live stream. You can take a look at some of that stuff. But yeah, thanks for coming out. Thanks for watching, and we should be good to go next Saturday for another stream. More progress on the Puru. Okay, thanks.